the love and the support to know that somebody took the time to give back to our community and didn't cost them a dime. So what I'm saying is right now, we the grassroots out here, these organizations. I have a live scan center in my resource center. You can come get your records done, debt clean, any kind of services that's needed. I may not have a funding for these referrals, but I'll call everybody from Kathy to Mark Willie Thomas to Marquise Dawson and anybody else, because I'm going to provide for my community. So what I'm saying now is yes, looking at small root organizations, we out here doing the work. And that's why I'm here now. So I have flyers. We're going to be giving live scans free all summer, starting with Marquise Dawson at St. Andrews Park on the 30th. And then we carry them all the way around, and this is just by the grace. But what I want to really say is, once you get out here and get your records straight, clean, then you work on the job. We have classes I can put you in El Camino College, 8 weeks free, okay? That's guaranteed to place you on the job and touring. So we have the resources, and like I said, I've been with Community Coalition for 7 years, and we stumped the pavement. And like I said, nobody's giving me a dime, but God is good. So I see this young man, young man sitting next to, it was said his building in Hollywood, but I have flyers. But our resource center, we have live scans and everything else. So if people need live scans, let them get a live scan, get their record clean. So what I wanted to share about how we do our live scan, we work with the courts coming out and doing it on the computer or whatever. But what we found is, once you don't have a rap sheet, you might come up with all kind of other felonies or anything else, AKAs or whatever. So the way we're designing is, you can go and we're going to give away free live scans so you can make sure you have a complete process when we go to expunge or reduce your felonies. And at that point on, afterwards, you'll be open to any other services that we have. So, like I said, we're just asking for your support. And like I said, I have flyers, my website and everything else, and you're more than welcome. I have business cards, and I just want to say, let's come together and acknowledge the ones that's really out there on their feet. When it goes to talking about mental health and distress, I was in a bad car accident December 15th. Had to have my toes put back on. I got buttons in my feet, plates in my head, my face got stitches, my ear had to be stitched back on, and I had blood on my brain. But God is good to me, and you talking about mental distress? Oh, I am really upset, because out of all the stuff I had to do, you know what? Somebody hit me, okay, and caused me to be in this, and I'm still fighting for a long recovery. And everybody have mental stress in certain ways, and you just have to take the time. And harm reduction is the way to go. Anyway.
Thank you very much. We have another question here on this side.
Hi, my name is Frank Robbins, and I've been involved in the mental health disaster for the last 20 years. I read that report, all of it, 65 pages. It actually started out pretty slow, but actually it was good. About 2/3 of the way in, it was very, very good. There's no doubt in my mind that this is a superior model to what we have going here. In my mind, obviously this is a slam dunker, they should really do this. But I think it's the establishment here that we're gonna fight against. For instance, there's lawyers out here in town, and they're providing free services for the so-called, patient rights, this whole issue of voluntary versus involuntary treatment. I don't know, I saw in the budget you had like $200,000 towards legal fees. I think it's gonna be $1 million. This HIPAA situation, treating families, that the average health worker treating a family with a callous disregard, this gotta stop. And I don't know how your program is gonna fix that. It's gonna take a lot of fighting these people because it's entrenched. They've been trained to be like this. There's fear. There's fear driving these people to enforce these HIPAA laws. I've read it. I was a medical practitioner at one time. So I know when you read these, when you have a healthcare worker, a front desk person working for you, and they're thinking, whoa, I'm not going to violate one of these HIPAA laws. They're scared to death. And even as a practitioner, you're scared in your own practice. So that's going to be a big issue too. I'm just wondering, how these hurdles in a year's time, how are you going to get over those?
The short answer, it's Frank? Yeah. The short answer, Frank, is we won't in a year. But, okay. I need, in the interest, and I know we're running short of time, but in the interest of full transparency, I want you to know that I have testified in front of the Board of Supervisors against assisted outpatient treatment, against it. Okay, I am not a believer in what I call involuntary outpatient treatment. So you all need to know that's where I'm coming from. Now, having said that, I think that we do a shitty job of actually working with people when they need that kind of assistance. And by the way, the reason why I'm against involuntary outpatient treatment, and as you all know, the Board of Supervisors discounted my testimony and went ahead and implemented assisted outpatient treatment. But the reason why I'm against it is because there's no evidence that it actually works. Okay? You have to show me that there's evidence of something that before I will support it. Okay? But having said that, we do, like I said, a shitty job of actually helping people who are refusing services from us. But what we're suggesting is that we can do a much better job without going the route of forcing somebody into treatment, of making our services more inviting so that people actually want to accept them. Now, can I guarantee you that every person is going to accept our treatment no matter how welcoming it is? No, I cannot. But I can tell you that we can do a much better job when we have people working out in the field like Anthony, who can, get anybody to actually, it's all about relationship. And it's actually being willing to create that kind of relationship where the person feels like we are in their corner and out for their best interests. Okay? And we're going to invest a lot more resources in making that happen. Okay? So that we don't have to involuntarily treat people against their will. Are there times when we're going to have to do that? Yes, there are. It won't all go away. But we can do a much better job, and I think that we've done a pretty bad job to this point of doing that. And so that will be one of the highest things. And here's the last thing I want to say about that. People who are concerned about the rights of the patient versus the rights of the family, we tend to start. Hold on. Let me just. Well, the concerns of the family, okay?
It's the right of the patient to get well, is a right to recover, right to live and have
Well,
life.
so that's not the way. See, this is where we get into these differences in the way that people look at things. Okay, all I'm trying to say is that we have to stop demonizing the other side, because that's where I think we start getting into problems. Is that the advocates for the clients are saying, oh, you're just being overprotective or those kinds of things. Well, that's what they're saying, okay? And on the other side, it's that you don't care about the people, you don't care about our loved ones, or these are the way that people get characterized. I've heard it. I've heard people saying this.
The issue is medication.
No, I don't agree with that.
You don't believe in medication?
No, it's not that I don't believe in medication. I don't think that that's the root issue.
That's the root issue?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, because if they don't want to take medication, they don't believe they're ill, they will fight it, And voluntary treatment is the only way to do it. So how will you do that in Trieste? How will you?
So if somebody doesn't want to take medication, they may have valid reasons for not wanting to take medication.
Psychotic.
Not always.
It's got bad side effects.
Yes, absolutely.
So what do we do?
So we try to find ways of helping people to accept treatment without forcing them to do that. Now, there are times if they meet certain criteria. Look, I shouldn't have gone here. This is not the forum to be debating this question. We could go back and forth all evening long. My point is that we can do a much better job of addressing this issue, and that we will be attempting to address it as best we can. I think that we have not barely scratched the surface of making a more inviting system and providing resources to people so that we don't have to use involuntary treatment methods. So yes, there will always be times when we have to use involuntary treatment, but we have not gotten anywhere close to actually providing the kinds of services that would invite people to accept the services that we have to offer. Okay, thanks.
Okay, I have 7 questions.
We have 7
So,
questions.
yes, so we're really trying to rotate this room, so can we please, kind of keep our questions brief?
We're gonna keep our answers.
And we'll keep the answers, because I know this is very important, but also know that you are welcome to email any of your questions or concerns, and we'll be sure to get back with you, okay?
Fill out the survey, which I know a lot of you already have. Go ahead, Destiny.
Okay, so we have a gentleman right here.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Sonny Whipple. I'm the co-chair of Underserved Cultural Communities, but my question involves me being a consumer and community member. First, I want to piggyback off of what he said about framing the Italian model, bringing it to the Native Americans, especially with Columbus. And I really got rid of him at downtown, so it's not going to work too well, you know. But my question is this: Native Americans have been invisible for a long, long, long time. And since I've come onto the scene, like Anthony, I've been doing this now for 8 years, maybe 10. My deal is, I would say it's a quest for dignity for the Native Americans to come back to where we should be. We're not even close. But I guess the overall question is that since we're so invisible, how would this work for the Native Americans we brought it to them? I'm asking as a consumer, not as a co-chair right now. Because if you see, we haven't been reached out to, there's nobody else here. I got the email, I just caught up on it real quick, so we're all left out. So I just want to see where it's working if it can work with the Native Americans.
So, Sonny, as you referenced, you're the co-chair of the Native American Cultural Community. So clearly that's an indication that we have that group, that we are extremely committed to the issues pertaining to the culture that you are here representing and all the cultures in LA County. And this model will have to be embracing all of the cultures or it will not be successful. And we need your voice here. And of course, you helping us spread the word within the community that you're here representing. Because as people have said, our communication pathways are not perfect. We do the best we possibly can. We want more ideas on that. But you helping spread the word and bringing all that to the table and having people fill out the survey and make those comments, that's fundamental to success on this model.
But I guess where I'm at, the generalization of everyone being into one.
The generalization of everyone being into one.
Yeah, if one group.
We're not seeing everyone as one. We're seeing culture that has to be embraced and people bringing different cultural communities and
But that wasn't said, that was the voice.
that wasn't said. Have you read, you mean in the document in the 65 pages?
That was the request, and nobody's talked about it here either.
Okay, I believe that we certainly are, and Carrie and Dave, and we, you know, there certainly are aspects of it, but there need to be more, absolutely. And please come on the 23rd as well and make the comments. Thank you, Destiny.
Hi, my name is Susan Levi. I just want to thank you all for coming here several times. As you were all speaking, it brought tears to my eyes. Because the concept of what you're all trying to bring forth is a beautiful thing, and having a daughter suffering through our current mental health system for the past 12 years, struggling, being homeless on the street, prostitution, numerous things. that are just unspeakable. When I hear the hope, and I watched Carrie's blog in Italy, you know, to think that that is possible here is just a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I think, Dave, you and I probably exchanged some emails. And so while I want to thank you all, and I just want to clarify that this is the forum to support you all as you go forward in 10 days to MHSI to get the funding. And then some of the final, more detailed things will be hashed out in the collaboration portion over the course of the year. Right. So I think I had a question about a 2-week stay. So my experience with my daughter is, if she's not stable on medication and she's continuing to do drugs, she's not going to get well, right? And so in a 2-week period, which was what was in the proposal, because I did read the 65 pages, in my experience over the past 12 years, 2 weeks is not enough. And so that was something that I wanted to address, and I know that this is not the forum for it. That my understanding was that's what we work on over the course of the year. So I think if we could all move forward, it's just supporting the vision of this beautiful thing that could happen in LA County. I think that's a really beautiful thing. So thank you.
Well, thank you very much. And it is a forum to both to challenge us as well. And that's what a lot of people have been here doing. So we appreciate that. And you're right, of course, there'll be a year of we look at refinements. We look at things that we haven't considered and we need to make changes. So thank you very much.
Next
Daniel.
question is this way.
Hi, my name is Ana Penido. I'm at NUM in the West Side, and I have 2 sons with mental illness. One who is in the journey of recovery because he does respond well to medication, and I have another son who has been at locked facilities for the last 4 years because medication does not provide what he wants, which is, he asks me every day, Mom, I want to go and live by myself. I want to have independence. How can I do that? What do I need to do to get there? Well, our concern is that when he goes out to a step-down facility and he goes out in the street to do something, go buy grocery, whatever, and he goes there because he's constantly in and out psychosis, and he lowers his pants and shows his private parts, he's going to be arrested. And that is why I am keeping him there, to prevent him from going through the jail system. So my suggestion for you, and I lived in Italy for 2 years, so I know very well the difference between that culture and this culture. I was born in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, a different culture. Latin cultures love family. We keep the people together. And in Trieste, I'm sure that the families receive the people and don't discriminate their sons and their members. Now, what I suggest, this is a wonderful initiative that you're doing. I've been reading it. It's wonderful to change the system and start. But I would like to suggest that you start with allocating a territory, a community that is closed and protected, so you can start changing that philosophy and that culture in a small, protected environment. And that one person like my son who needs 24-hour care would have somebody with him appear 24-hour, so he doesn't get into jail.
I think the proposal is in a pilot area. You're aware of that. Now it's Hollywood. So certainly that's not what you're saying. Of course, you're saying in an area that we could be really controlling it in a better way. Anthony, did you want to comment?
I just want to answer the question earlier. You know, for me, your question about 5 o'clock. You know, for me, I'm really hoping that this model comes to town, because I can tell you, staff, frontline staff, their worst nightmare to happen is somebody has a crisis and it's 2 o'clock on a Friday. It's all bad for that person and the staff, because the staff is thinking about getting off work. And to be honest with you, social services shut down at 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock on Fridays. To be honest with you, you're not going to get no help nowhere. You know, which is crazy, right? So I'm really hoping that this model does come to Hollywood. So for once in my career, I can just smile when somebody is in a crisis or needs some help at 2 o'clock on a Friday, and I can get them the help that they need. The second thing is, I'm so glad that Dr. Sharon chose me and Carrie chose me to be on this Trust Day model, because for me, I've always used the people that I've served once they were housed and stabilized. I always use those people for outreach. I've always used them for outreach. That's one of my secrets. I always get one of them to go out and do outreach with me in the community they're already in, right? No problem. If that's peer support, that's what it looks like, I'm okay with that. I've had people that I work with when I was working in hospitals, outreach to homeless people in hospitals. He was formerly homeless, came out of the hospital. He went back in the hospital with me to outreach other people in the hospital. You know? So I believe that it is room for peers and for volunteers in this program. Because if it's not there, it's not gonna work. I've actually had people sit in my car when it was raining, just put them in my car for 8 hours while I drove around town and worked. Because they needed a place to stay, and I just had the heater on all day so they could sleep all day. You know, I don't know if that's innovative or if that's just having some compassion for somebody. Right? I don't know. But if that's what they call innovative, so be it. You know, and I hope that this model has that type of innovation in it. Right?
Thank you, Anthony.
We got about 5 minutes left, Destiny. You're making it happen here. Does this gentleman have a question?
Yes.
I don't have a question, I have more of a comment, but it might sound like a question. First of all, I want to say to everybody on the panel, I applaud you guys. You've been very professional in giving the information, and I haven't read the initiative or the innovative proposal, but I'm here at the behest of my good friend, dear friend, Mr. Lorenzo Elvis Murphy, who's been at me about coming to these meetings for the last year, and I see him out in the community doing what he does. I want to say mental illness has been around since the dawn of time, since the beginning of man. And unfortunately, Los Angeles County Mental Health Department is not that old. And the world is constantly changing around us. But mental illness seems to kind of like remain mental illness. And it may go off into different variations as society evolves. For me personally, I've come up with a name for a traumatic stress disorder that I've suffered with called PBTSD. It stands for Police Brutality Traumatic Stress Disorder. And this happened to me about 5 months ago. I'm rolling down Crenshaw, and the police got behind me, and I got so nervous, I almost passed out. So once they went about their business, I had to pull over to the side and let that anxiety pass. Now, that has happened to me before, but that particular day I said, wait a minute, why am I having this type of reaction to the police? Well, during that time, the media had been showing these images of police, unfortunately, killing so-called, and I use the term so-called, black men. So I kind of blame the media, and I'm not trying to say that the police is bad, because the police suffer from this as well. They're told, those guys are dangerous. So they strap up, and a police officer says, I'm going home tonight at the expense of you. If you act up, I'm going to do everything I can to go home. So it's a really volatile situation. So I've come up with this campaign. It's a national mental health crisis as far as I'm concerned. I believe that this particular syndrome is a greater threat to national security than the Taliban, ISIS, and Al-Qaeda put together, because it's unnoticed. Nobody's really paying any attention, because people see people that are in our communities that are mentally ill. Like, yeah, that guy's mentally ill. He's standing there with his one finger shaking, and you can try to spot him. But this is like a mental illness that people just accept because nobody really notices it. But you can go in communities around the country, and when the police are present, people get nervous. And the police are scared. So I'm working on getting the word out, and I want to get with mental health professionals that can come up with adequate solutions so that people can receive the type of treatment. Now, I've been sober for 30 years. I mean, I've been through the whole AA, yada, 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 you know what I'm saying? And in the last 30 years, I haven't. And that was a traumatic experience, getting off of drugs and alcohol. I lived on Skid Row, I shot dope, smoked crack. I was traumatized, not doing that anymore. So I've had to overcome some things, and I've been able to see other things. So, but I want to applaud you guys and all the comments that have been made around the room. Some very intelligent people in here, My sister over there, she's gangster with it. She's the one that really needs to get the money.
And just a 1 minute, so, 1 minute response is that a lot of people engaged with this model, criminal justice reform, and many of the people who went and have been engaged on this model are looking at reforms related to criminal justice and people with mental health issues and how that system works and doesn't work. And so that's certainly a big part of what we're looking at. I think, how many do we have left?
Okay, we actually have 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay.
And it's 7 o'clock, and this is